Dr. Paul was a beloved doctor who cared deeply for animals and touched the lives of millions of people. But behind the scenes, his family has been through a terrible tragedy. Charles, who loved Dr. Paul very much, lost someone very important in his life, and it changed his life forever. How did Charles get lost? What effects did this tragedy have on the Paul family? Follow us as we find the story that has been kept from you that will break your heart. Charles Paul, the famous son of the famous Dr. John Paul, the beloved doctor who became famous because of the amazing Dr. Paul, has a story that is full of success, happiness, and grief. As a well-known TV star, Charles has been very important in creating and hosting his father's show, which has introduced millions of people to the amazing world of animal care. But Charles has a side of his life that isn't as well known. It's not the cameras or how famous his family has become. Struggled and hurt deeply in ways that many fans may not know about. This script takes a closer look at Charles Paul's life, from his formative years growing up with his parents and animals, to his job in TV, and his important part in making the amazing Dr. Paul famous. We'll also talk about the huge problems Charles has had to deal with behind the scenes. This will shed light on a story that is both moving and inspiring. Charles Paul was born on March 6, 1979, in central Michigan. He had a life that is completely different from anyone else's. Charles was taken in by Dr. Jan Paul and his wife Diane when he was a baby, and raised in a home where animals were more than just pets. They were like family to each other. As a child, you might have had cows as neighbors, pigs as an alarm clock, and a veterinary office as a second home. Charles was thrown into the chaos of farm life when he was a child. Charles was holding goats and getting scalpels for his dad, while other kids played video games or traded baseball cards. The family motto was pretty much work hard and don't step in manure. Charles started helping his dad with chores. As soon as he could hold a bucket, he learned to love animals and have a great sense of fun to get through the crazy farm life. Charles wasn't happy working as a vet though. He had dreams outside of the barn, even though it was funny to watch his dad try to wrestle a 500-pound cow into surrender. As his dad tried to figure out what was wrong with the horses that were colicky, Charles was daydreaming about being in Hollywood. He wanted to make stories come to life without the smell of cow pies, so he packed up his childhood memories of mud, fur, and mischief on the farm, and went on his own journey. Charles found his niche in television production. With hard work, and maybe a pair of boots, he finally became the mastermind behind the amazing Dr. Paul. Charles didn't become a veterinarian, like his father, but he found his own way to shine a light on the family's amazing life. He showed that you can take the boy out of the barn, but you can't take the barn out of the boy. From a very young age, Charles Paul was great at sharing stories and making people laugh, whether they were family, friends, or a barn full of animals. In contrast to his father, Dr. Jan Paul, who spent his whole life working with animals, Charles was more interested in the bright lights of the entertainment world. Charles took the first big step toward his goals when he went to the University of Miami and majored in communications after finishing from high school. His dream job was far from the rolling fields and farm animals of central Michigan, and he couldn't wait to leave the small-town life he had grown up in. Many people thought he would become an actor like his father, but Charles had other ideas. Instead of cow manure and syringes, he wanted to work with lines, cameras, and the excitement of Hollywood. Charles packed his bags after college and went to Los Angeles, the center of film and TV, to try to break into the entertainment business. He did jobs with well-known production companies there to get real-world experience in a very competitive field. It wasn't an easy change. Even though Charles grew up in the country, he did very well in Hollywood, thanks to his grit, his curiosity, and the work ethic his parents taught him. Charles worked with famous people in the business, like Sidney Pollack and Edward James Olmos, while he was in Los Angeles. Even though these jobs weren't easy, they were very helpful, because they gave him a look at how Hollywood really works. He learned how to make things, from sticking to tight plans to learning how to tell stories on screen. These early years were very important for Charles. These people not only taught him the technical skills he needed to work in film and TV, but they also gave him the courage to go after his big goals. In the end, this experience helped him create the incredible Dr. Paul, the show that made his family's small rural veterinary office famous all over the world. Charles left the farm for the glitz and glamour of Hollywood, but his roots would help shape his biggest success in the end. Charles Paul had dreams of being famous in Hollywood, but his heart was still very close to his family and the unique world he grew up in. After working in the entertainment business for a while, Charles understood that the story that was closest to his heart, that of his father, Dr. Jan Paul, and the family's veterinary practice, had everything it took to become an interesting reality TV show. Dr. Paul's unwavering love for animals, his straightforward approach to veterinary medicine, and his larger-than-life attitude were like nothing else seen on TV. In 2011, Charles suggested making a show about his dad's veterinary business in the middle of nowhere in Michigan. He thought it would be interesting to show not only how great his father's work was, but also the difficulties and benefits of being a veterinarian in a country area. Charles was determined, and had worked in the field before he pitched the idea to National Geographic Wild. The Paul family and their story got a lot of attention from the network right away, and the amazing Dr. Paul was born. Later that year, the show premiered and was an instant hit, with funny, heartwarming, and educational moments that kept people watching. Charles had two jobs. He was the executive director, and he was also in a lot of the movies. His sharp sense of humor, close relationship with his father, and knowledge of what goes on behind the scenes were all very important to the success of the show. The amazing Dr. Paul made the family famous with the help of Charles. The show not only celebrated the bond between people and animals, but it also showed the real challenges and joys of veterinary treatment in rural areas. Charles's vision and hard work made sure that the story of the show stayed heartfelt, interesting, and true to the family's roots. This made it special in the hearts of fans all over the world. Professionally, Charles Paul has had a lot of success, but personally, his life has been a roller coaster of big highs and big lows. It was a very happy event for the Paul family when Charles married Beth Oakes in 2018. Beth was a childhood friend and had been close to the Paul family for years. Their friendship and shared memories over many years helped their relationship grow easily. The wedding was a happy event attended by family, friends, and fans of the great Dr. Paul. Everyone was thrilled to see Charles take this important step. People quickly fell in love with Charles and Beth's story. They admired how real their relationship was, and how much happiness they brought to each other. In 2019, their daughter Abigail was born, making the couple's family bigger. When she was born, a new chapter opened in Charles's life. He became a dad with all the passion and humor that his fans had come to expect from him. In 2021, just 2 years later, the Paul family had a baby boy, which made Charles an even better husband and father. Being a parent came with both fun and hard tasks. It taught Charles more about family life, and how hard it can be to balance work and personal obligations. Charles has always put his family first, even though he is in charge of a popular TV show. This shows that his biggest wins aren't just on screen, but also at home with the people he loves most. In the midst of Dr. Paul's great success and the happiness of his growing family, Charles Paul went through a terrible tragedy that left the Paul family greatly shaken. Adam Butch, Charles' brother-in-law, died suddenly in September 2019 at the young age of 23. Margaret Paul, Charles's sister, loved Adam very much. He was also a beloved part of their close-knit family. Adam died too soon, which was a terrible loss that could never be fully filled. Adam was close to Charles and the whole Paul family when he was young, and had a bright future ahead of him. He often joined them at family events and in their daily lives. His death was not only a tragedy for his family, but it was also a harsh reminder of how unpredictable and fragile life is. Charles was very upset about the death, because he was known for always being there for people and making them feel better. During this hard time, he worked hard to be the mental anchor for his sister and the rest of the family. The Paul family has chosen to suffer alone, but people who watched their lives on TV and on social media could see how sad they were. Adam's death showed how important it is to treasure loved ones, and how quickly time goes by. The Paul family is famous, but they can still lose a loved one, and this tragedy showed how human they really are. Charles was already struggling to balance his work success with the needs of his growing family. Adam's death was a sad event in a story that had been mostly happy. The Paul family doesn't talk about how sad they are very often, but after the accident, their bond became even stronger. On the other side of the cameras in veterinary success stories, the Pauls are just another family going through life's trials with strength, love, and each other's support. It shows how strong Charles is, that he was able to stay strong for his family during a very hard time, even though he is still carrying the weight of this terrible loss. After such a terrible event, Charles Paul turned to his family and worked for comfort. Adam Butch, Charles's brother-in-law, died, which hurt him deeply, but Charles turned his sadness into a new sense of purpose. He put all of his energy into the amazing Dr. Paul and other artistic projects. He used his fame to both entertain and motivate people. He quietly sent messages of hope, strength, and how important it is to love and care for those you care about through the show, showing that he believed in the healing power of connection and story. In a quiet way, Charles also became a champion for mental health. Even though he wasn't very open about his problems, his behaviors said a lot. Fans liked that he kept making emotional content after such a terrible loss, and many of them admired how strong and open the Paul family was during hard times. Charles's method reminded people that it's important to get help, find meaning in life, and stay in touch with loved ones, even when things looked the worst. People all over the world were moved by how strong the Paul family was during this time. One thing that shows how strong Charles is how dedicated he is to his family, work, and personal growth. He can turn pain into purpose, which gives others hope. Many good things come with being part of a famous family for Charles Paul. But fame has also brought some tough problems. People who live in the public eye are often watched all the time, and Charles has been no different. A lot of people have said bad things about him as the chief producer of the incredible Dr. Paul. Over the years, some fans and groups have been against the show, especially when it comes to some veterinary practices that are shown on screen. Many fans love how real the show is, and how much the Paul family cares for animals, but some have problems with some of the ways they care for the animals, which has led to arguments on social media and in professional settings. It has not been easy for Charles to deal with these problems. He has had to find a fine line between protecting the show's integrity and addressing public worries as the show's creator and leader. He has had to be diplomatic, tough, and deeply dedicated to making sure the show stays true to itself and treats its viewers with care. Besides problems at work, Charles has also had to deal with online gossip and speculation about his personal life. As a public figure, I've had to deal with rumors, false claims, and sometimes harsh criticism from people I don't know. While things have been hard, Charles has stayed true to his family and the show's purpose. Charles has not let the pressures of fame stop him. He has been strong because of his childhood and the strong family values that Dr. Jan and Diane Paul taught him. He has shown great character by being strong in tough situations. Behind the cameras and public image is a man who is truly committed to his work, his family, and the values that define the Paul legacy. There's no doubt that Charles Paul's work on The Amazing Dr. Paul has cemented his place in the reality TV world. He has been an important part of making the show's unique appeal as both executive director and on-screen personality. Through The Amazing Dr. Paul, Charles was able to connect rural America with major media. He did this by showing the raw beauty and inherent challenges of being a veterinarian in a way that resonates with people all over the world. Charles has taken the Paul family's deep-rooted values and hard work ethic into living rooms all over the world. By telling captivating stories in an honest way, fans and people who work in the entertainment business admire how hard he works to show the truth about life in the country and taking care of animals, while still keeping a sense of fun and warmth. Aside from the fame and attention of TV, Charles's most important impact is as a father and husband. Even though Charles has been through a lot in his life, like the death of his brother-in-law and the stress of being famous, he has always been devoted to his family. He is very devoted to his wife Beth, their daughter Abigail, and their son. This shows how much he believes in making the home a loving and helpful place. The story of Charles's life shows that success isn't just about work accomplishments or being famous. Being able to handle life's problems with ease, strength, and love is what makes someone truly successful. His ability to be a dedicated family man and do well in his work at the same time is a powerful example of how strong his character is. Charles Paul's story is one of strength, love, and drive. Charles has always been true to himself and his values. From his childhood on the family farm to his successful job in TV, he has lost a lot of terrible things, but he is able to turn his pain into something positive. Charles Paul's life is a powerful lesson that everyone who has achieved great things has been through hard times, and even though it was sad, his path shows how strong the human spirit is in the end. Charles Paul is the son of Dr. Jan Paul. His story is full of victories and deep sadness. Charles has had a life full of both fame and hardship. As a child, he worked on the family farm with his father. Later, he made a name for himself in Hollywood and produced the popular reality show The Incredible Dr. Paul. Even though he has had a lot of success at work, it is his personal struggles that have made him the person he is today. Even though Charles lost his brother-in-law Adam Butch in a tragic and surprising way, he has continued to show that he is very strong. He has been able to keep going because his parents taught him strength and values. He finds comfort in his work and his family,